Good morning. It is June 27th, 7:28 a.m. Welcome to the last episode of season 1. Today I would just want to reflect on the most important things that I've learned in the last 2 months of going live and talking with you guys. And I also just want to remind everybody that this is still just the beginning. When I first started, I think I had a lot of grand ideas. I had a lot of grand goals. I didn't fully understand what this was going to entail, how much time would be needed to put it on. I don't know. For some reason, I think I expected that I would just be able to hit live and then I would be able to create gold like super easily off the cuff. So I think the biggest thing I've learned in this first season is that I'm not some unique magical person that can just create entertaining content by breathing. That this is not the Truman Show. Well, of course it's not. It's Braden Moser in the morning. But I don't know. I really appreciate everybody for the support. I feel like I received a lot of messages. People just being proud that I'm willing to share my story, be honest, be authentic, and be vulnerable, even though I don't have everything figured out. So I really appreciate the encouragement and the support there. And I just want to say thank you. We have a lot going on right now. Probably some big things are going to change in my life in the next year or so. Got surgery. I have everything I need to finalize the development of Maintain, my hair product, and some other stuff that I'll get to eventually. I'll share with y'all. This season, one of the main topics that we discussed together was story, finding meaning, purpose, and just sort of like evaluating the origins of who I am, I guess. To summarize, we started off with my story, how I got to where I am today, which is not somewhere that I would imagine people really want to be. Post mental breakdown, still kind of on the uphill. Not really at the top. I'm not coasting. Still trying to figure a lot of things out, you know? I'm hoping that I can look back on this and just be really grateful that I have a memory of what this was like to be here. Um, I've been trying to think about what I want my finale to be. I don't know. There's like this pressure, with fireworks shows. It's always the finale is always the coolest, most impressive part of the whole show. And good morning, Leah. Excited for the grand finale. Yeah. Like I was saying, I feel like I have this pressure that I've put upon myself to try to make the grand finale grand, like make it be different, unique. And I want so badly to just give you gold nuggets of knowledge, of like key takeaways, something ridiculously entertaining, But I think that the overall maybe lesson or insight that I feel like I've gained from season 1 is that it's okay to start. It's okay to do things, even if you're not able to do it perfectly. I've been kind of keeping this mantra in my mind the last few weeks of like, make it exist, then make it perfect. Make it exist, then make it perfect. I've lived my whole life in this state of avoidance, putting things off because either, initially, earliest in life, I would say like when I'm grown up, right? I had all of these like invention ideas, things that I wanted to do when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I would tell my mom about them, and my mom is a very I would say type A person, very logical, but also super philosophical. I had somebody send me a message during the season and just say like, I'm more like my mom than I realize, which I don't know. I obviously I have some interesting experiences with my parents, with my mom, but I think my mom's an awesome person. She's just gone through a lot of hard things in the same way that I have. We have to have grace for the people that do things for us in our lives, but I would tell her my business ideas. I would tell her my dreams and my goals, and she would sort of go into like, okay, that's not super realistic. Let's figure out how we can actually make that a possibility. Like maybe that idea isn't super good, but you could change it into something good. And I think that sort of kept me feeling like I wouldn't be able to do the things that I dreamed of doing. And then obviously being on the farm, I did feel sort of like a slave. And it's not to say that I was a slave, but I felt that way. And I always would tell myself like, when I'm off the farm, when I've moved out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. My life, for the majority of my life, I always expected that my life would start one day. And during this season, it's kind of forced me to be present in a way that I haven't been before. And it's been really powerful for me. If you are in a moment of your life where you've got something you want to do, or you have ideas, dreams, goals, I honestly just, the only thing I can say is make it exist and then make it perfect. Like, just try, just do it. Put it out there for the world. And yeah, it might suck. It might be a terrible season 1, but that's the point. Like, you're going to have a season 2. You learn from the things that you do. You learn from the mistakes that you make. You learn from, I mean, there are so many things that if I could go back and do it perfectly the first time, I would. But I would never have learned those things had I not done it messily. The goal is take those lessons and actually implement them, move forward, make the changes that I want to make. Which is kind of the hard part. A core theme of this season has been story. The importance of story, the importance of recognizing that every person has a story, a unique perspective about with our lives, trying to tell a good story, create a good story through the decisions that we make. Something that I've learned is that so much of making a decision is less about choosing which path you want to follow and more about cutting options off. And in that process, there's a lot of fear, you know, like I'm choosing one path that is making another path inaccessible. I can no longer go down that journey. I will never know what that life could have looked like. And when we live in a space of avoidance, like I have for most of my life, you'll stay stuck if you aren't willing to make those decisions and cut those things off, cut those potentials off. Even if you don't know exactly where you want to go, picking one option is really the only way that you'll progress and move forward. And it's not that you'll be stuck on that path. It's not that you're choosing something permanent. You can always pivot. But if you're trying to move in all directions at once, you're either just going to explode or stay still, right? And with that, that story focus this season, season 1 was obviously heavily focused on my story. With season 2, I really want to make it about lessons we can learn from other people's stories. And if you have a story, which we all do, that you want to share, I would love to offer this small, tiny platform uh, to you. Please send me a message, leave a comment. Um, let me know if you would be interested in coming on and talking. There's no pressure. It doesn't have to be perfect, clearly. This is a space for authenticity in a world filled with AI slop and polish and plastic. The only thing I can promise about the future is that it's going to be real. The hardest part of that is, honestly, it's terrifying to show up incomplete, broken, in a space where, I mean, depression makes you have virtually no confidence. But in doing this show and doing season 1, I don't know, at least I've learned that even if I'm speaking to the void, there's something about getting it out there that is just healing for myself. And I know, honestly, I highly doubt that this is going to be the thing that grows or helps me start a business or anything. Like, it, for the most part, this show was like therapy for me in a public setting. I feel like I was a mess in front of all of you, and I appreciate you if you've stuck with me and been by my side. If anything, it's a testament to the kindness of the general population, just humans, especially my friends and my family. One thing about ADHD that I'm still learning about is rejection sensitive dysphoria, or RSD, which is like a hypersensitivity to criticism and rejection, to the extent that you don't even have to receive criticism and rejection. It's just the absence of like compliments and assurance can be interpreted as criticism and judgment or rejection. But this has been probably the strongest thing, or the most powerful thing that I've ever done for my RSD. Just sort of being like, yeah, people are probably not going to like everything I have to say. I'm probably going to say something wrong, something I regret. But I mean, I have my wife in the chat. I have friends that show up who leave comments to let me know that they're there for me. And I know that that's the case for everyone, no matter how alone you might feel or isolated you might feel. There are people that care about you. I don't know if I've shared this story, but I just kind of feel like I want to right now. There was a huge emphasis on mental health this season. I don't expect every season to be about mental health. I don't expect every season to be about my story. when I was in college, it was the first time that I was like really depressed. And disclaimer, like, or trigger warning, I don't know. If you don't want to hear about a really dark place, maybe skip ahead a few minutes or just leave for a second. But long story short, I was on top of a building, trying to make a decision, and it was snowing, and I was like just kind of like looking around at the snow, saying goodbye, obviously terrified, but I was like pretty committed. And I started counting down from 10, just taking those 10 seconds to take in life. And at the time, still very much believed in God, very Mormon. And even to this day, like, regardless of whether there's a God or not, this moment meant a lot to me. I was at about 4 or 3, and I noticed this particularly pretty snowflake falling slowly down, and I watched it fall, and I sort of paused my count for a second, and it fell on my hand, just like right here on that space between your thumb and forefinger. And it was this like beautiful, unique, almost perfect snowflake. And it melted almost the moment that it touched my skin, and turned into just a small little drop of water that slowly rolled off of my hand. And when I was looking at that small drop of water, it was, I mean, at the time, I think I would have called it a vision. I don't know. I just had this strong feeling of like, I saw my youngest brother getting the news about me the next day. And I saw like the tears rolling down his cheeks. And for a moment I realized like there are people out there who would miss me, and I can't do this to them. And so, I mean, in that moment, oh gosh, my tissue box is gone. I don't know where it is. Bad timing. It's in the right corner. I'm not seeing anything. Doesn't matter. Get back in there, dear. If you struggle with your mental health, if you struggle with feeling like you don't matter, or that no one would miss you, or that things won't get better, the only thing I know in a world of confusion and way more questions than answers is that it will get better and you will be missed. Actually, I'm going to see if that... There's the tissues. Woo! Just remember your tree is still growing. And there might be like a really big thing blocking you right now. You'll get around it. I don't really know how to transition away from that. And now I'm like sniffing and gross. I don't know. I hope that some of the stories I've told, some of the things I've said during this season have been helpful or useful for somebody. I have like a ridiculous amount of self-doubt when it comes to this kind of stuff, of just feeling like either what I have to say is nothing new. Like, there's all those memes or TikToks about like men coming to some like big realization that a girl knew since she was like 11. And sometimes I feel like that. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like a floundering little child coming up, like discovering the most basic and simple principles that everybody fully understands. And I'm like, wow. Um, so I really hope something I said was helpful for someone. I'm curious what you would like to hear more about in season 2. If there are specific topics or questions that you have that you are struggling with or wrestling with in your mind, I would love to participate in your questions and your struggles, and be there with you. I kind of wanted to do a card draw from the Archetypes book or deck about things, like basically what I want to focus on or what we should focus on until the next time that we see each other. So let's think. Last October, Leah and I decided that we wanted to move out of the apartment that we were in into this house that we're currently in. And the reason we decided to do that was because it had a lot of nature, and we figured that it would be good for my mental health. It would be good for both of us. Sorry. It'd be good for both of us to have a change of scenery, shake things up a little bit. And in the last couple of months, I think the first 6 months that we were here, it was definitely like, it was nice to have something different. It was nice to look out the windows and see like nature instead of a parking lot. But I still wasn't fully present to take it in, to really feel it. As the season has progressed and I've kind of like talked about my past, I feel like it's helped me to let go a little bit better. I don't really feel like I need to run away from my past as much as I used to. Like, I don't feel like I need to escape. It's just sort of, yeah, it's part of me. But I in talking about it and discussing it, I've learned a lot more of the pros. I've been so focused on the cons, like with homeschooling, growing up on the farm, having really adult conversations with my family, with my parents, learning how to cook, taking care of my siblings. And some of this might be wildly inaccurate. I wanted to bring my mom on the show to give everybody an opportunity to like hear her side of the story, and her perspective, her experience. But obviously that'll have to wait for season 2. They're actually in the process of trying to sell the farm. They had a potential buyer that sort of fell through, unfortunately. So they've been trying to get off the farm basically for the last 10 years. Feels like they're close, but still maybe a long ways to go. Um, but I feel like I've been able to process my past, and I'm grateful for anybody who listened and who was here for the kind of messiness of that. I feel like I have a lot more clarity on the lessons that I've learned, and I wish I could have condensed them more succinctly for the show. I do think that in season 2 it will be a little bit better as far as like frequency of key insights. I think most episodes I feel like I have one or two key insights that I have gleaned from my life. I want to just increase the density of that, increase the value that I'm providing, whether that's just by shortening the episodes so that I have to stick to the good bits and skip over all the unnecessary details. But like I was saying a little bit earlier, like social media, the content out there, it's all very produced. With studying, whoa, why is this making me emotional? What the hell? I feel very strongly about showing up authentically and honestly. I literally don't know what's going on. I can't even get my words out right now. Honestly, this is not new. Actually, I kind of want to pull up a video that I could share with you guys. There it is. Okay.
Technical and
I'll see if I can find the spot. This is not the full thing. I don't think I have the video. Doesn't matter. When I was in Skills USA, it was so I was the state president for 1 year, or a state officer for 1 year. And at the end of my term, we kind of did like farewell speeches. And I was the only person that did one without a script, or like without pre-recording it. And so I'm standing on a stage. They just played the farewell videos that were pre-recorded from all the other state officers. And they were beautiful, really heartfelt and well delivered. And then it came to me, and I had been overthinking what I wanted to say. I had practiced a few things. I kind of had like a general idea of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't really expecting my parents to show up. To be honest, like most of the big things that I felt like I did growing up, my parents were sort of too busy, or like maybe I didn't tell them. So they missed a few things. So I don't know. I wasn't really expecting to see them. And I was on stage and I was like saying thank you to my my teachers, my advisors, like everybody who had supported me and helped me. And I had noticed my parents there earlier. And I said like thank you to my mom and dad. And I don't know, it just like kind of I broke down and I couldn't finish my speech. So it's kind of a common theme for me to get emotional, I guess. But as I was saying, I feel like content, social media, the world is so very produced. People try to be perfect or appear perfect. And honestly, I think the most valuable thing that I've done through this show is just showing up broken and kind of recording like that experience, I guess. And I hope that this turns into a whole arc, you know, like I don't want it to just be some dude in the mud, in the dumps for his whole life and like continually checking in and being like, yep, shit still sucks. I can kind of see a future. I can see a path forward for the first time in a long time that I'm excited for. And I'm excited to share it with you guys and show you how a person can come from this to hopefully something that people would want to emulate. So anyways, let's do a card draw to wrap up season 1. I think I want to do a 3-card spread. I want to do what's something that I need to keep in mind or remember from before the show, during the show, and after the season. So let's do it before. Here's from before. It's going to be more of like a journey spread. The Vow. That's a really pretty card. I haven't seen one with like the yellow before, like that gold color. So it's a gold ring with a sort of a dark circle in the middle with a few clasped hands in the center and maybe like I don't know what kind of bird it is, but it's like a white bird flying above the hands. So the Vow falls under a tool category. The Vow is a tool. Page 173. Okay. The Vow, the promise, the oath, the contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness, the laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promises. Wow, this is actually kind of crazy because I think I mentioned this last episode. I've gotten very used to saying I'll do something and then not doing it. When light, bearing witness to the shift toward destiny. When dark, unconscious vows, unkept promises, messy karma. Go deeper, learn the yamas, the 5 vows of the seeker. Anytime the energy of the vow is present, we are in the archetypal realm of ceremony and ritual. That means time stands still and anything is possible. Think of the last promise you made. Was it to yourself or another? Has it been upheld or broken? It's a good one. There's a lot in that for me. I don't remember making like a specific vow or promise at the beginning of the show or before I started the show to Leah. But I do know that the general vibe was basically like, I'm committing to starting this. I'm committing to like picking myself up and getting my shit together, for lack of a better word. Pardon my French. But I mean, I was kind of a mess. I am still a mess. I'm cleaning up. And it's a vow that I am going to keep. I am keeping it. I might not be doing it in the most perfect, flawless way. But every time I feel like I might have broken the promise, I just continue to try and show up and keep moving forward. All right, so that's supposedly the before. All right, now let's go into during this season 1. What is something that I should keep in mind, or that we should keep in mind, be aware of? And as far as like the vow, how that can apply to your lives, I hope that maybe that gives you some sort of meaning. Also, sorry for the sniffles. I hope that those aren't too loud or disgusting. The stone. So this one's interesting. It's a triangle. It's like a gray marble background with a light colored triangle, and then there's a dark colored square inside of that triangle, and a light colored circle inside of that square with a like gemstone and an eyeball. I think that's what that is. I think there's like a little eyeball in the corner of the circle. So the stone is likely going to be a tool as well, I would imagine. The stone is a tool. Page 199. The stone. The eternal, the anchor, the rock. As an archetypal object, the stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is of permanence, concreteness, and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us, as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans. A single stone may see thousands of generations come and go. Therefore, it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side, so no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. When this card appears, it is likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. When light, steadfast, loyal, committed, present. When dark, weighted down, holding back, cold. Go deeper, Caspar David Friedrich's A Walk at Dust. I kind of want to look that up. Caspar David Friedrich, A Walk at Dusk. I think I can share my screen and actually show this. Move me over here. So there it is. I don't really know if I would need to sit here and look at this for a second to really take it in, but It's a guy walking up to a really big rock. Build a cairn in nature. Find inspiration in Andy Goldworthy's stone egg forms. In Jewish mourning traditions, stones are left at graves rather than flowers. Sit with this vision for a moment and see what unfolds. Interesting. I mean, what I've done here, like, it's on the internet, it's pretty permanent. It's not going away, whether I like it or not. I mean, I could probably delete it, but I'm not going to. And I do feel like showing up every day, being grounded, first thing in the morning has been really helpful for me. So it has kind of been like an anchor for me the last little while. That's cool. I like that. All right, third and final. What do we need to keep in mind until the next time we talk in season 2, when I have a completely different nose and a lot of updates to share with you? Here we go. I'm just gonna maybe cut the deck a few times, and then we'll just do this one. The Mother. I feel like I've seen this card quite a few times now. So it's a nest with like a snake and hands holding a pearl in the center. It's the first card in the deck. The Mother, the Great Mother, the Feminine, the Source. Okay. We begin our archetypal story with the mother's love. Through her sensual, fertile, and life-giving energy, all creation takes form. Regardless of our birth story, each of our hearts beat for the first time in the warm womb of the mother, where she offered resources from her body for the building of our own. Yet her tale is not so simple, as the mother, especially on the earthly plane, contains both light and dark aspects of the feminine. With the best of intentions, the mother wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she meant to set free. The mother both nurtures and prohibits growth. She gives, yet clings. She creates, yet restricts. Amid this complex energy, the mother holds the key to the eternal challenge of love. When light, glowing, generative, creative, nurturing. When dark, dim, exhausted, controlling, limiting. Go deeper. Read Tao Te Ching, Chapter 1, and imagine the mother of 10,000 things. The mother is part of the trifecta maiden-mother crone. Because of the relationship between them, take special note when these cards appear in one reading. They did not, so that doesn't matter. Notice how the mother archetype is expressed in nature. This is perhaps the most balanced and benevolent form of the mother's grace. Sometimes I feel like it's a hit or miss. Maybe not. We'll see. I feel like often when I look at these cards, something happens, something comes up in the next little while that I'm like, oh, maybe that's what it was talking about. Obviously, if you don't believe in like this kind of stuff, it's priming is, I think, the psychological explanation of that. It's like how if you buy a car, you see a lot more of those cars. Priming psychology definition. In psychology, priming refers to the unconscious influence of a prior stimulus on an individual's response to a subsequent stimulus. So obviously it's explainable through priming. But it's kind of weird how frequently I've been like, it's been weirdly specific. So the mother, that's what we have to keep in mind between now and next time. Well, that's all, folks. That's season 1. Pretty grand for a finale, right? I love you. Seriously. Till next time. Bye.